Okay, folks, so I'm not really too sure where to start this video and talking about the number 33 again because I've talked about it many times before. But um, when it comes to like numerology and adding numbers and stuff, I've done several videos of that. But I guess I'll start here, like showing you the chart that I use typically when I'm breaking down these symbols and signs that I see. And just basic alphabet here, numbers 1 through 9. You locate the number on the chart, and then you just, insert and add the numbers. And like, for instance, if I were to mention something about the whole Dallas, ice pew pew thing that occurred, um, in one of the photographs, there is the, let me see, yeah, this one here talks about the three Batanes. That's one thing there. Um, Joshua John's name actually comes out to an interesting number as well. But if we look at the car, apparently he taped some map of nuclear detonations, like a chart here. But if we look at the plate, I mean, alone there's Corolla with the double L. The double L um, actually has some symbolism in it too. Look at the number on the chart. L is 3. So um, two L's would be 33 there. And then if you look at the license plate, JYM 8526, okay, we can, I got that up here. If we just look at this alongside of the chart here, we can see that the J is listed as 1. So let's just put a plus, wait, that's equals. Let's put a plus 1 for the J. And then Y would be 7. So we'll put a 7 there. And M would be 4. So we're going to put a 4 over there. Let me expand this so it's all in one. So then what you do is you add these numbers all together. 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 2 is 15, plus 6 is 21, plus 1 is 22, plus 7 is 29, plus 4 is, yes, you guessed it, 33. So in this one picture alone that shows the vehicle parked outside of the ice facility, you have your dual 33s. Your Corolla with your double L 33 plus the plate adds up to 33. Um, listen, I'm just going to go down the line here, I guess. Let's go back to an incident that occurred in New York where the so-called pew pew person went up to the 33rd floor, and it was at 345 Park Avenue. Okay, they like these numbers that are in succession, and they also like the numbers that are like a what do they call that? A palindrome, I guess. Or I think where the number reads the same forward and backwards, like 1 October here in Las Vegas. 10:01 reads the same forward and backward. They like those numbers when they're scripting these choreographed chaotic events. And it's everywhere, folks. I mean, even as recent as yesterday, this was an incident that occurred um, in Grand Blanc, Michigan, where this character here, Thomas Jacob Sanford, which has interesting numerology to it, who was 40 years old. I want to point that out too, because I think that's curious. Drove his vehicle into the church and then proceeded to shoot things up, and then the church burned down because I'm guessing that the dude had, some of those expletives, we'll call them, and they caused the explode thing. But they received the call at 10:25 a.m. and they neutralized the suspect at 10:33. You guessed it, which was 8 minutes later. Which I want to take a minute to point out the number 8 as well and how that ends up tying into the 33. Because when you take the number 8 and you split it right down the middle, what you have are two halves, and each half is a 3. If you do like the mirror image and flip this over, you have a 33. And that's how they look at things. Like I said, when they're scripting these choreographed chaotic events, they write this stuff right into the script so that it's out there, so that they can say, well, we put information out there, you just have to learn how to read the signs and the symbols, right? So yeah, okay. So now let's get into an older situation that occurred back in 2020 with the whole GF dude over there in Minneapolis, which, by the way, Hennepin County, where this thing occurred, is corrupt AF. I'm just saying, look into it. I've already done several videos and those were all videos that I was working on at the time and publishing that ended up getting the Garage channel deleted with no warning, no issue. They issued me not one strike, not nothing. Just all of a sudden, boom, channel gone for hate speech. And this character here, Darnella, that recorded the situation is a whole nother video series as well, where I can show you some images and some information that would suggest that this poor girl was actually an orphan who I believe was abused and extorted. This was one of her purposes. She ended up getting a Pulitzer Prize, by the way, and it's really sad because, according to the narrative, her only relative that's listed, she doesn't have any parents listed, nothing. That's why I said she was an orphan, and they took advantage of her. But her only uncle, according to the narrative, was killed when the cops hit his car during a chase. The cops were in a high speed chase with another criminal, and they hit her uncle's car, and he was killed. So I think this character here, and again, when you look at the situation, what she had recorded, and what unfolded after that, with all of the chaos that came out of that, was just absolutely incredible. She has the signs. The signs are there. The name, anyway. This character. You got the double L for the 33. You have her birth date as 3/23/2003. And if you watch the video that she made, I'm sorry, but you can tell that I'm not sorry actually, but you can tell that the situation was scripted and staged, and that's a whole nother video series, and I don't really want to get into that, but I do believe this poor girl was a victim over anything, and it didn't have anything to do with what occurred between George Floyd, the characters George Floyd and Derek Chauvin, myself personally. But the fact that they gave her a Pulitzer Prize as well was very, very curious. And listen, um, I can give you many different examples. This was another one that occurred in about 33 seconds after this deadliest Air India crash, and there was so much speculation on this whole story, and several channels have pointed it out. Let's go back a little bit further. Hillary's 33,000 emails. I mean, 33 hours to find Charlie Kirk's suspected killer. And then you have this, what happened on the same day, 1 minute before Charlie Kirk was assassinated in the public eye, in a public setting. There was a shooting at an Evergreen High School in Colorado. Okay, look at the character's name that did it. Desmond Holly, double L's, 33. You know, it's just interesting because again, like I said, wait, maybe it was 1 minute after Charlie Kirk because this says at 12:24. Which again, you got your 22s on September 10th. Okay, this character Desmond Holly, double L, perpetrated this, and it was what would have been what 1 minute before Charlie then, or 1 minute after. I think Charlie was at 12:23, which is interesting too. And then again, I've pointed this out before. You have this scene right here that's set. You got 47, 47, 47, 11, 11, 11. You got 11 times 3, 33. I just, oh, here we go. This is another one yet, too. The conditions favoring the rise of advanced aliens are much rarer than previously thought, according to a new study, which suggests that the nearest planet hosting extraterrestrial civilization could be 33,000 light years away. You don't say. And then you have the three eye atlas, really? That weighs 33 billion tons. I mean, it's everywhere. And this is a lot of this is just scripted nonsense, folks. And they use these signs and these symbols, and the number three is very, very common, and it's in everything. There's like so many other tragedies and things that occur, and people getting shot. Like on the weekend, it's like every weekend in Chicago, right? And the news doesn't make a big deal out of it, but you have specific situations and specific choreographed chaotic events that are allowed to be disseminated. And again, I pointed out the Dallas ice shooting. You got your double L in the Dallas. There's 133, and then you got the plate on the car of the shooter. His name equals 69 in the numerology. They like these numbers like this that are like a yin and yang. You see that 6 could become 9 if you just flip it. 9 could be 6 if you just flip it. You got your double E's. 33's right there. You got Hillary's emails. You know, and her code name was Evergreen, right? And then you have COVID, which I already pointed out to you that the number 8, when divided in half, creates two halves, and it's considered 33, right? COVID, let me pull that up really quick here. If we look at COVID on the map, um, you got your C, which is 3, plus your O, which is 6, that's 9, plus your V, which is 4. 9 plus 4 is 13, plus your I with the 9. 13 plus 9 is 22. You got your D plus the 4 equals 26. Okay, when we put the number 26 there, we can then do equals. Let me make this bigger. 26 equals 8. When you add 2 plus 6, you get 8. Okay. Anyway, look at the word vaccine, right? Which you're really not allowed to still say, right? You got your V, which is 4. Your A is 1. Your double C, there's your 33. C, 33. Right in the middle, right? Then you got your I over here, which is 9. Your N, which is 5. And your E, which is 5. So you got duals there as well, because 55 is a pretty significant number. When you add them all up, you get 30. Then you get your 3, but you got your 3 right there. Tyler Robinson. Oh, this is I. Tyler Robinson comes out to 69, the same as the character Joshua John, right? Tyler alone, that name has been associated with many different, events where they have to have this main character, and Tyler is a very common main character name. And you have this association with the Snake Eyes. That's a whole nother story. When we're talking about that movie Snake Eyes and Charlie Kirk and the association and how the snake ties into all of that and the year of the snake going on and all of this stuff. I'm telling y'all, they are creating so much chaos all at once that it's almost impossible for anybody to escape any kind of sense of angst or fear. I mean, it's everywhere, right? This was the other incident that occurred over the weekend, the Southport stabbings. And when Wikipedia creates a whole page on it, it's true and it's real and everything that occurred was just this organic, chaotic event that occurred. Well, it just so happened to happen. You look at the coordinates, you got 33 degrees, 54, 56.5, and then you got your 22 as well right here. Then you got this character's name, Nigel Edge. Really? The dude's full name is listed as Nigel Max Edge, I believe. Oh, that's going to be another video because I want to point out here how certain people that were around Charlie at the time definitely seemed to me like they knew something was going to happen before it happened. Okay, just saying. But this character here, again, this narrative, in common with the event that occurred at the church in Grand Lake, Michigan. This character here is 40 years old, and his full name is Nigel Max Edge, which he changed his name. He was formerly known as Sean William Debevois in 2023, and I'll go into that name too. I mean, that's interesting numerology there with that name too. The same thing with Oak Island. Um, he was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, and 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. He's due in court today. In fact, I think they're probably going to be, people disseminating the information from this court proceedings of this incident that occurred. But if you look, he's 40 years old, a 40-year-old veteran. He was identified as some kind of a veteran, and he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder after he was a combat veteran who served in the Marines from September 2003 to 2009. And the other character that did let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this character here was how old? 40 years old and a vet. I mean, they're trying to present information and show these events and create this narrative that a certain class of people and a certain group of people are creating these situations, and they're the same age and they're tied to the military. So, and it says here that it was highly premeditated. I mean, I think we have some trigger things going on here. Just saying. And one last thing before I end this video. Trump itself, the name Trump, doesn't necessarily come out to the whole 33 thing or anything, but the surname of Trump, which is Drumpf, Drumph. Let me show y'all that one, Drumpf. Okay, not H, F. When we pull up the calendar here, we have D, which is 4, R, which is 9, U, which is 3, M, which is 4, P, which is 7, F, which is 6. And let's see, we add these up. 4 plus 9 is 13, plus 3 is 16, plus 4 is 20, plus 7 is 27, plus 6 is, yes, you guessed it, 33. So, there are so many other examples. This is just a handful of the different situations, and there's so much more. When I was digging deep into the whole George Floyd thing, something came up that was really interesting. When you look at Google Maps and you look down here, this is George Floyd Square, this is the Cup Foods, and this right here is where the incident was filmed, recorded, and documented. All these green stripes on Google Maps, I'm going to do another video on too because it's very curious. But as you can see, when this incident occurred and Hennepin County Medical Ambulance showed up to pick up the victim, supposed victim, they traveled down this way up 38th Street down here to Park Avenue, and they made a right, and they went up Park Avenue, and it was up here at Park and 36th where they claimed that he actually passed away in the ambulance, and then he was transferred to another ambulance in this intersection, which I've covered in many videos. There's cameras all over here, but none of the footage has ever been released. But when you zoom in on Google Maps and you look at Park Avenue is 33. The old Route 33 is Park Avenue. Okay. So I've showed this in many different videos, all of the anomalies surrounding that whole incident that occurred back in 2020. There's so many different signs and symbols that would suggest that this was a choreographed event and it was scripted. And just like a lot of these other incidences and stories and headlines and things that occur, they're scripted and they embed their signs and their symbols because that's their way of saying, look, we put information out there. We put the information out there. You should have seen it. But if you don't know, you don't know, right?
And, like I said, because I repeated it, I'll say it again. I could show you even more examples of this number popping up in different events and things that have been recorded throughout our history. And I can go back even, way, way back to like 1947 and the Roswell incident and things like that. So it's been going on for a very long time where the script writers and the people choreographing these chaotic events put these signs and symbols in there because that's just how they do things. Anyway, thanks for watching. Know that I appreciate you and that you matter very much to me. And it matters very much to me that you stay safe and you stay mindful.